expenditure was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
Beautiful Global Morning Weekend. It's a beautiful raining Saturday morning. Yes, it is. And it's great to be here at about this time. I am Jumai Manson. And today is just going to be back and forth when it comes to issues that are making rounds. We're going to be speaking with, if we have the opportunity to speak with a female painter today. And of course, looking in depth about the boy child. No one talks about it. Of course, 15th of May was the International Day of the Boy Child. Nobody talks about the boy child as much as the female child. Have you ever wondered that they carry most of the brunt of issues in society, from that responsibility of taking care of the home fronts to providing to protecting? When it comes to, of course, God protects, but that angle in which they play, the responsibility that so lies on their shoulders. Like I said, it's a beautiful Global Morning Weekend. I am Jumai Manson. I'm your host today. Do not go anywhere. The program Global Morning Weekend continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. All right, you're welcome back, and it's great to be here. And of course, I am not doing it alone. I have a very special guest here with me, no other person than Prince Kelvin Fineface. Of course, he is a security expert, and he's here with me on Global Morning this beautiful raining Saturday. And we're just going to be looking at a very, well, I call it a sensitive issue before we delve into the newspaper review segment, talking about the International Day of the Boy Child. And most people do not actually talk about this. They feel the most targeted or focus is the female gender. But sometimes the boy that transcend and grow into men have a lot when it comes to the responsibilities in which society throws at them, the responsibility of being that support, that, you know, financier when it comes to household issues, when it comes to, you know, a home and all of that. The mental health is being, you know, it needs a balance. And we're going to be talking about that because, hey, it's May, this time, May 15th was International Day of the Boy Child, like I said. And we're going to be talking about that briefly and, of course, in his own point of view. What, you know, do you think that we don't talk much about the boy child? We feel they are men, they should man up. What's their problem? Don't you think so? Hi, good morning, Mr. Kelvin.
You know, I think you're very correct. The boy child is the most neglected.
Yes.
And today what I would say is that the man is the most endangered species.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there hasn't been intentional mentoring window for boys, unlike what you have with the girls. The girls right from birth, you know, at a certain stage, they start, you know, being mentored on how to be women, how to take care of the home. Sure. They do all of those things, but not with the boys. You know, the boys are oftentimes made to be experiential. And as such, you end up having either delinquent boys or boys who become very abusive much later in life. And a lot of the time, boys are abused at a young age, but can't speak about them. Because society won't even believe them, that's one. Two, society even don't see anything wrong with that. So if a boy is raped as a child, they will say, don't you enjoy it? But if a girl is raped, it's a different thing.
Yes, because we are more fragile.
So that's the thing.
And the truth is, the women is the weakest sex.
Did you see what he said? Yes, because we are more fragile.
Yes.
It's in that, you know, acceptance that you end up endangering the men the more. Because what that does to that young boy who has been raped, becoming an adult, is that he becomes something else. And that becomes a menace to society. So how about in the course of nurturing, the boy is nurtured to becoming a good man. So he becomes a good man for the society in general. And so he doesn't look at the woman as a tool. There are certain unspoken natural facts that we can't run away from. The boy ends up becoming a man who ends up becoming the head of the family or the head of the being. And the woman oftentimes becomes the support and the neck, in quotes. Now, the woman's powerfulness is beyond human comprehension because the woman is actually the most powerful being on earth. But that is oftentimes abused because of lack of understanding. And so, in line with the boy child, a few years ago, I started doing what I call the boys to men, going to secondary schools to groom young men to becoming young boys to becoming good men. Why? Because I suffered greatly from such kind of abuses. And that's went on for a very long time. But that can stop. You see, boys get to know what they need to know, so they know how to be able to manage it. Some societies, you have that initiation process where at a certain age you go through a particular type of initiation. But that do not completely form the man, the boy to becoming a good man. There are many other, you know, variables that need to be considered. And so we should continually speak for the boy child so as to have a better society for our daughters.
You know, speaking for the boy child, do you think the boys are wired in a certain way? They are wired to always hold it in? Because I realize that some boys who are now men, they find it hard to say what they're feeling, what they're going through. People say women are going through a lot, women are going through a lot, but the men actually, are you really going through a lot? Because you don't say it, you don't speak it out. So how do you, and you know the painful part in all of this, you expect the woman folk to understand with you when you're not saying anything. How can you pass a message when you're so silent or you're not straightforward about it? I think, don't you think some men are wired, or most boys who turn into men, some good men, are wired in a certain way to always hold back their emotions, suck it in. Growing up as a child, I've never seen a man, my dad cry. As in, I don't know why, but really, they say men don't cry. Like, that is it. They put you in this high pedestal. And you shouldn't fall below that. Don't you think so? So when a man starts being expressive, starts whining like a girl, they'll always compare. When a man is soft, I was going to say that. When a man starts being, oh my God, or like the way the women act, they'll call him a sister, they'll call him all sorts of names. And if a man is tender towards his wife, loving and caring, he's weak, and in the pigeon palace, he's a woman rapper. So where do you want them to fall? It's confusing, really.
Now, you see, you said all of these things, and it's also confusing for you, and that is because by innate design, once there's a behavioral pattern for a longer period of time, it becomes a cultural thing. By innate design, boys have been made to become close up to themselves, act like strong men, and not to cry. As an adult, I cry before my kids when things are not going the way they're supposed to be. And I explain why I'm crying, why I was crying. And I also make them understand there's nothing absolutely wrong to tear up, because tears gives you strength. Tears is what, it kind of open up, everything that is on the inside. So my boy knows that you don't need to sulk. That's why it's bad. You can tear up, but don't sulk. If things aren't going the way you expect, you don't understand what's going on, you can cry before your father. We go before God our Father and we get broken up. Why? Because we need to be mended. So if I do that before God my Father, what's stopping me from doing that before my kids? So if I man up before them, act like a cover everything up, am I helping them? No, I'm not helping them. So they are not seeing me, like you said, you've not seen your dad crying before.
Never.
So you bottle up so many things, and it's like a carbonated drink. If it's bottled up, shaken for a long period of time, what happens? It can explode.
Yes, it can.
So what happens to the man, rather than having ways to let out, depression leading to suicidal thoughts, to suicides. But they say when the window is created for the man to let out, all of those things goes out and he gains back himself and becomes a better being for the society. We should deliberately, intentionally allow men to speak up. See, I have this here, man up. What does it stand for? Don't man up anger. Don't man up abuse. Don't say, oh, no. Speak out. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. Because when you express yourself and explain your pain, you give the other person the opportunity to understand and how to make provision. For relationships, we oftentimes act like secret service agents, right? And oftentimes tend to act like, psychics to be able to read a partner's mind. We hardly communicate our intentions, our fears, our expectations. We act out to react. And at the end of the day, we blame the devil for those reactions. But we can do better if we communicate our expectations and explain our fears to the understanding of our partners. Disagreements. Once you're able to do this intentionally, guess what? The boys in the home, the girls in the home can say, at home, I don't have a boy or a girl in the home. Because everybody must behave like a human first. My daughter knows she's the first. She knows she must behave like a human. Respect her brother, the younger one. He knows he must respect her and protect her. There are roles. The woman is designed to give care. It's nurturing. It's in her hands. The man is designed to give protection, provision is in his hands. It's by innate design. If you look at the animals, you will see the same thing there. You will not see a cock acting like an hen. No, it's not possible. You will see that natural phenomenon. If there is a cockerel and there's no cock within that environment, that cockerel will start crowing after a short period of time because you needed to assert that position. I study these things a lot. That's where sometimes I get some of the understanding of how nature really works. You go to the same thing to the dog's family, you just find them everywhere. So we should be able to look at it and intentionally groom our boys to become good men. And by so doing, enabling them to be broken when it needs to be broken. You know, and I want to shout out there to all the boys out there. Just man up. Don't just stay and say, I'm not going to say anything. Boys don't cry. Boys do cry. Cry when you need to cry, but don't sulk.
But don't sulk. You just heard it from Prince Kelvin Fineface. But at the same time, one more question before we go into the newspaper review segment. Now, put it at the back of our mind that we have norms, we have traditions, we have our fathers have done it this way, passed to our grandfathers, great-grandfathers, now our fathers, and now the boy child. Now, how do you speak or empower the boy child to thrive in and out?
Simple. You know, the human being is designed with a survivor kit. In giving birth to you, you are giving a survivor kit. Now, you need to be able to develop the skill to utilize your kits. So the parent is there to guide and to be able to, you know, open up the child to that opportunity. So one of the things I did in my case, you know, was to expose them to a lot of opportunities. Because you never can truly tell what that child is designed to achieve, except of course it's exposed opportunities and the child tries out those opportunities. It's in the process of those opportunities that the child begins to show up some kind of skills that you as a father will not say, I think this is a skill this child, so let me help the child to grow in this area. So you hone those skills for the child and enable them to see the value on how to exchange such value for what they need. Everything you have is not designed for you. It's designed for exchange. So the mistake we do as a people is in the thinking that the tree that we planted, the fruits will be eaten by the tree. No. The fruit will be eaten by others. No tree eats its own fruit.
Really?
It's the planter that waters the plants.
Very true.
As a parent, you water your plants, the child, and allow the fruits to blossom.
All right. Now, you've just heard it from my amazing guest here, no other person than Prince Kelvin Fineface. It says the parent that waters the plant for the plant to blossom. A very key note there. All right. Now, let's quickly go on a very quick break. Thank you, Mr. Prince Kelvin Fineface, for being a part of the program. And then we'll delve into the newspaper review segment. Do not go anywhere. It's Global Morning Weekend. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. You're welcome back, and it's still Global Morning Weekend on Global Television. Thank you all for staying tuned. And I'm still with Prince Kelvin Fineface. He is a security expert and a public good advocate. Thank you so much for staying back and doing this with me today. And of course, like I said, we're going to be delving into the first paper of the day, which is the Guardian Weekend. And above the nameplate of the Guardian, it says UTME glitches why Oloyede deserves commendation, not condemnation by stakeholders. And it says here, time to prepare for war on truth, part 2. And of course, the politics page 2, it says 2027, between PDP's hope for implosion of APC and need for introspection. And of course, the star story on the Guardian Weekend, and you can find the star story on page 8 and 9. It says why Nigeria's strategic grain reserves can't boost food security. And below all of that, it says military will be fully equipped to defeat insecurity, and that's from Tinubu. You can find that read on page 2. Ex-Rain Nimasa mims grains as debate rages, and you can find that read on page 36. Nigeria legal system crumbling under corruption, ethics violation, says Osinbajo, and you can find that read on page 3. And then of course here, basically that's all the news on the Guardian Weekend, and I will be, like I said, Prince Kelvin Fineface will be. Let's talk about why Nigeria's strategic grain reserves can't boost food security. What's your take on that?
Well, grain reserve actually designed for food security. Unfortunately, in recent times, it hasn't been fully utilized, and the citizens have not also truly enjoyed the benefit of having those reserves.
Very true.
It's only until last year we saw where the government tried to want to distribute some grains, but at the same time riddled with some other corruption that came with it. Grains were released to states, they were not properly distributed, they were just based on party affiliations, and in some cases, some people have to pay so much money to get access to those kind of grains. Grains are supposed to be subsidized access to food, in order to where there's high inflation or that we experienced last year, some kind of super inflation, hyperinflation that we had.
Very true.
The grains were released to be able to cushion that effect. If the government had policies that had been consistent, not only just federal reserves, grains reserves, the states also need to be able to have their own grains reserve. We have arable land that's supposed to be utilized for farming and other agri-produce, but in the north there's been this bedeviling of insecurity, under the guise of banditry and other types of terrorism. In the south, there hasn't been much of agricultural help. The dependency has actually always been in the north. Benue State has the nomenclature with the food basket of the nation, but it's also riddled with the Fulani herders incursions, sacking communities, which I would call genocide, if you ask me. If you have that, from that, the Plateau belt to up to Abuja houses. It's all happening. Farmers can't go to farm.
No, they can't.
And as a result of that, it affects what harvest. And so when harvest is affected, there's also food shortage of food right in the market. Then because there's shortage of food, the lesser the supply, the higher the demand, comes into play. So the grains reserve, beautiful thing, if it's sustained, if it is designed as a sustainable program, not a project, then it's a good thing to help with food security. But if it's not sustained, then it becomes a problem. Then there has to be room for review. See, I have a challenge. A few years ago, under one of the NGOs that I represent as the vice president, Nigerians for Super Energy, we did a research and traveled around the country and discovered that many agrarian communities had a lot of food wastages because of lack of preservation. The value chain, if those who farm tomatoes can't even dry their tomatoes to preserve those that won't be bought as purees, they can. So, but if you give them solar dryers, you find that if you travel from Abuja to Nasarawa or to Kaduna, along the road you will see people drying their grains by the roadside.
Very true.
Now that is the most crooked form to doing that. So unhealthy, right? So inhygienic. Imagine those people are giving solar dryers. They don't need necessarily be to the grid. They are giving solar dryers so they dry their grains. It's a form of preservation, right? But that's not done. Imagine your mangoes in Benue, mostly wasted. Also, you get some purees out of them. You get mango, what do you call it, fruits, and put them through the process, dry them as dry mango fruits, and preserve them. The value chain also goes that way. So because we don't have programs that are designed for long-term benefit, what we've always seen is the short-term measures for the purpose of enrichments. You have this nepotistic tendency that helps fuel corruption. As a result of chronism.
Okay.
So that can change.
All right. Let's quickly delve into the next paper a bit, and we'll be looking at the Nation newspaper now. And it says here, inflation declined down to president economic reforms, and that's the minister. And it says Finland charges Simon Ekpa with inciting terrorism. And the Star story on the Nation says Tinubu orders new push to tackle Sahel threats and others. And there are 3 riders there, and it says states, local government, communities must join federal effort, and that's the Chief of Defense Staff, the CDS. And you can find that read on page 4. And it says national peace stability require inclusive governance. And it says perceives Alaafin reaffirms focus on education, healthcare, cultural value. And it says JAM opens counseling center for UTME candidates. Why Oloyede should be allowed for UTME hiccups, Yusuf Ali. And it says EFCC arrests ex-government contractor for alleged 30 billion fraud. And basically, that's most of the stories there. But the story that caught my eye, I know we're going to talk about the Star story that says Tinubu orders new push to tackle Sahel threats and others. Of course, that's a terrorist clan, the Sahel, in Maiduguri, Borno. And then first, let's look at JAM opens counseling centers for UTME candidates. Of course, you heard about that girl that actually committed suicide, that killed us, drank the rat poison because she got a very low mark in her UTME exams. I was discussing with my colleague and I said something. I said, do you think parents have not taught their children that failure is a process in life? We should understand that it happens. It's not how you fall or how you get up again and rise. It's an experience. Do you think we have a role to play? And of course, looking at this, JAM opens counseling centers for JAM. What's your take on it?
Well, it's a good thing. It's a right step in the right direction. If it's sustained, if it's not used as a vehicle to siphon funds, parents need to do more, by ensuring that they don't overly expect kids to outperform beyond certain, expectations. We put pressure on our kids because of fear of the unknown. The way the country is, if you don't have the sense, you must have the connection. So if you don't have both, you're left on your own. And so that is why you see some parents would want to do anything and everything possible to ensure that their kids at least gain access to entrance. Why are we even having JAMB? Why are we having JAMB?
Because we have post-UTME, like seriously.
So why are we having JAMB? You finish your secondary school, you have your entrance examination to the university you want to apply to. So why are we having JAMB? These are things that should have been scrapped off completely. You do not need this central body to be able to write exam for everybody to pass through it. You have WAEC, you have NECO to write, you have JAMB to write, you have post-UTME to write.
Sure.
Even at that, you see, you have issues with catchment areas that you need to think about. Affirmative actions is part of the reason why we're writing JAMB. And at the end of the day, it's not actually effectively. What has happened, what has been exposed that's been going on in JAMB didn't just happen just by one word, glitch. In my thinking, this is something that's been ongoing for a long time until recently being challenged. And because even when it was reported that, look, there's some problems, JAMB said nothing was wrong until they were forced to. If they were not forced to open up, they are given access, then this would have been swept under the carpet.
Very true.
We heard the minister said the reason why we're having mass, failure was because there was no room for cheating. Now it's been proven otherwise that, there was actually an internal arrangement to, make it difficult for a certain area of persons because was it a coincidence that you have such number within the southeast region and a bit of Lagos in a particular area?
Really?
It's not a coincidence.
Not at all.
It is something that has been going on for a long time, but currently being exposed for the entire nation to see. So we cannot change that. How can somebody who scored 310 in JAMB want to apply for medicine in UNN and is from the eastern region, not given admission, but somebody who came with about 165 gained his admission for medicine in the same school because it's from the north? How do you explain that? It's something that, so if they're opening counseling, are we going to open a counseling to say, okay, if you fail, you failed, right? But that will give opportunity to do, other thing, or that somebody scored low
Don't
from
get
the north.
suicidal.
Somebody scored low from the north is guaranteed to gain admission, and somebody scored low from the south have to commit suicide because there's no guarantee to gain admission. Would that solve these discrepancies, or it was just for the photo ops? It's a question I think JAMB need to answer. It's a question I think all of us need to answer. As citizens of this country, it is such level of imbalance needs to stop. You cannot give someone who's called low admission because it's from a particular region that is from the north and there's an affirmative action. Then somebody who's called low from the south, somebody who's called low from the south is not given admission, needs to score far higher, double of that which this person from the north scores before he gets admission. That should stop.
All right, let's just see how far this particular UTME counseling center will go. We'll follow up and see how it goes.
I hope the press does something about it.
Really, we will follow up and know what it's all about and then the procedure and all of that. Like you said, let it not just be an avenue to siphon money and all of that.
But sometimes they make this kind of statements just to assuage the public because there's a lot of outcry.
Of course.
So look, we're going to do counseling centers. We're going to write. See, they even said they gave 1 week to write the exams again. How do people, parents prepare for such? Some people live very far from centers. Why don't you create a window where from their phones at home they could do what they can do and you do an aptitude test?
I think they're trying to avoid examination malpractice. And I don't think...
Juma, you and I know that you apply for certain kind of jobs.
I know.
I did an application with the UN agency. Online. And the questions, there's no way you can cheat. The questions were asked right there, you have time, you must respond. If you fail to respond, you move to the next question. So the solutions are there. It is because JAMB has seen a way to make so much money for people. That's why they're doing. Why would JAMB be that expensive? Do you know how much JAMB generates?
I know.
From exams?
But at the same time, Prince, I really need us to understand that we've not gotten to that level.
No, we are.
No, we haven't. We're not ready. Because I'm not...
We're not ready in what sense?
We're not ready.
In what sense?
Looking at it, the CBT centers, if you... Like a friend of mine, a family friend,
those are like money-making points.
And I'm telling you, the data there was not even functional. The kids there in Jos, there's a particular region in Jos where they were. They couldn't even write the exams. They were just going up. The little girl had to cry. I think this is just an intervention from God because God saw all of this. But seriously, I don't think...
I like the fact they said it was an intervention from God. We always have to...
Because a lot of children who actually read for these exams were not given that fair opportunity.
There are more than 100 million Nigerians who use data, internet data, through their phones. Nothing stops JAM in getting the solution that has already been existing, being utilized by the UN agency, the World Bank. Nothing stops them from utilizing such data. There are programs already been written that makes it easy for you to do your thing on your phone. You don't need to go to data center.
True.
That's another money-making venture.
I understand.
It is just this aspect of cronyism, nepotism that is developing.
That's why I said they are not ready yet.
We have the capacity. It is for the leadership to understand what leadership is all about and bring about service. Once service is introduced, it's easy. The phones are there. We have the infrastructure because our internet, strength is above 10 megabytes per second. And so there's no reason why you won't be able to have stable internet to do the things you want to do on your phone. What does it take to set up these questions and send these things to the kids? Send a link, they go there, you have it, you are time bound, you can't even open your books to look at answers. Well, the solution is there, but they won't do it. Why? Chaos feeds the mongers, making more money. So that's why they allow chaos to generate more profit for them. So they can do emergency budgeting. Now, because of this, let's approve a certain amount of money under emergency window so they can take some more money. JAM makes so much money that they don't have any reason to. JAM is not supposed to be a revenue generating, agency. How do you generate revenue from JAM? You're fleecing your people to write exams, and you feel that you're generating money for what?
Okay, I hope a JAM rep or someone is listening to this particular statement and they'll pick out of it and realize that maybe they are ready after all, but like you mentioned,
greed taking away the rest is history.
I'm sure some will beg to differ with you, but with all
only
of that,
those who are benefiting. Let's
just see how well it goes. All right, we have to wrap it up on the newspaper review segment this beautiful Global Morning Weekend. Thank you so much, Prince Kelvin Whiteface, for being a part of the program, and thank you. Of course, he is a security expert and of course the rep of the Public Good Advocate, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for being a part of the program. And sit back, relax. Global Morning continues. And, of course, I will be interacting with a female painter, of course. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning Weekend, and it's great to be here. I've done newspaper review, spoke about the boy child, and I am so excited to introduce this other guest. Of course, it's going to be very brief. And her name is Nancy, and she is a painter, and she'll be telling us what it entails. How, for me, I've not seen a female painter before, and of course, Nancy Anene has been on this journey for a while now. And she is the CEO of Bar Rachel, and she's here, and we'll be talking about the journey so far. And of course, Nancy, are you here? Hello, Nancy. Nancy, good morning. Nancy, good morning. All right, I think she will be joining us shortly. Let's go on a very quick break. The program continues. All right, you're welcome back from that very short break. And now we're talking with Nancy Anene, and she's the CEO, MD of Bar Rachel. And she is a painter, and she says she produces paint, and she has painted so many houses. And I was just wondering, a youth who is keen on being productive in the society. And of course, Nancy Anene, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes,
good morning.
I can hear you. Good morning, ma.
Good morning, Nancy. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. And you?
All right, Nancy. Now, let's talk about you and you being a painter. Go ahead and tell me how that journey started briefly.
My journey started 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So when I come back from Port Harcourt, my brother told me that I can't be able to do anything. So he placed a bet on his work. I told him that I would do exactly what you're doing and I will call you for work. That's how I joined painting work.
Wow. But, you know, is it competitive, you being a female painter?
It's competitive, but mostly with men, because they doubt that we women can paint.
All right, you know what, Nancy, let's go on a very quick break. The program continues shortly.
Okay, ma'am.
Welcome back from that very short break. We're trying to put up Nancy's picture so you can all view who I am talking with at about this point. And then looking at it, Nancy, so you took things by the horn and you decided that, okay, you need to learn how to be a painter, despite the fact that they say it's a man's world, right?
Yes.
So how's that journey been? Like, looking at it, you know, how did you start? Because I saw the work that you did. Beautiful houses. You mean you painted all of those houses by yourself?
Yes, I do it.
And when you say you're a producer, did you learn how to make paints from scratch? You know how to mix colors? How do you know when the right color, how to mix the right colors? How did you do all of that?
Okay, I'll start from adding the water, then bring my chemicals, calcium, titan, all the chemical that is necessary for painting. So, and my color, paste and oxide. So I'll mix this together to get exact color that the person requested. So it's a mixture of different chemicals.
But do you use machines when you're mixing all of these chemicals?
Sometimes I use hand machines, sometimes I use industrial machines based on quality.
Oh,
Based on
it depends. All right. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing your journey with us. And it just shows that. But looking at this, are you sure women, if they put their minds into it, they can actually become a painter and do very well in this particular craft?
Yes. Yes. So there are most of women, but some women stop painting work and they see painting work as dirty work and stress. That's why some just into self girls, but who is that determine on the work? I wouldn't see it as anything. When you go into it, you know that the work is not stressful.
Okay. But let me ask you a question. Please, is there money in painting?
Yes. Money, there's money in painting.
That's the part I want to hear. So all the ladies out there, please, if you want to join this particular craft, there is money in painting. Oh, Nancy Anene, thank you so much for being a part of Global Morning Weekend with me this beautiful Saturday morning. And of course, Nancy Anene, she is the CEO MD of Barachel, and she is a painter and she produces paint also. Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you. God bless you too.
God bless you too. All right, now with that, I have to wrap it up on the program Global Morning Weekend. And thank you all so much for being a part of the program with me today. And of course, you heard what Prince Kelvin Fine-Faith said when it has to do with the boy child. You have to plant yourself and water so it can nurture out good fruits. And of course, Nancy is encouraging women to, it's not a dirty job to be a painter. You can actually make money from it. Be productive as a youth. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. I am Jumai Manson. Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve the struggle with ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
This is me.